As we start our reading of Antigone in class, it's really important to understand how theater developed in ancient Greece. And at the origin of our modern-day theater, there are some differences, which we'll discuss. But understanding the background and the history really allows you to appreciate Antigone that much more. So, hence the reason I talked about background of Greek theater before I started. So let's get started, shall we? Now, the origins of Greek theater, the oldest recorded actor, his name was Thespis, hence the name thespian today for an actor or actress. There's three kind of genres that need to be aware of. Just like when you go to a movie and you see like a comedy or a western or sci-fi, there's three main types of plays that people would go see in ancient Greece. They're the tragedy, the comedy, or the satire. Now, the tragedy is tragic. Okay, there you go. It's sad. It's going to have a sad ending, like everybody dies at the end of a tragedy. It's kind of like the rule, just like a Shakespearean tragedy. There was a story of a guy who basically had a tragedy in Athens and it was performed, and it was so sad that he was fined after and had to pay everybody because they were so depressed. So a big idea in a tragedy is the concept of fate, that the person cannot escape their fate, which is huge in Antigone, F-A-T-E. That the gods or goddesses is kind of predestined, and you cannot escape your fate. You can only respond to your fate. Suffering is going to happen. It's beyond your human control. It's beyond your ability to comprehend. It's kind of missed on modern audiences. The second type is comedy, which is funny. It's a complete opposite of a tragedy. It's kind of similar to their version of SNL, something like that. It kind of goes and provides their audience with something that, based upon stereotypes, something similar enough to regular life that it's funny. So they'll have the classic character of like a mother-in-law meddling in their child's marriage. Like you still see that on comedies, sitcoms, stuff like that today. An angry, an angry old man like wandering around. That's kind of funny. So like I don't know, think about like the old guy in Up. Like that type of character is not a new type of character. And then the third type is the satire, is the satyr, which features a chorus. I'll explain the chorus here in a sec. A chorus of satyrs. It's an in-between. It's called like a tragicomedy or a dramedy. It's in between a comedy and a tragedy. Usually it's set in the woods at night, which is where the satyrs go and do their dancing around. The satyrs are kind of known for being sexually inappropriate, having a lot of innuendos, and being drunk all the time. So hence the cause for the comedy. These three different are the three main types. When you enter a competition, you're a playwright, you typically enter 4 different types of plays, and they're all performed in one day. They're not performed over and over again like today. You can see like a show running for a period of time. You would submit traditionally 3 tragedies, then a satire. And the satire would run either after the second tragedy in order to break up the sadness, or at the very end to kind of leave stuff on a happier note. Extensive use of masks. It was only men that played the characters, including women, so they'd have to dress up like a woman. And I'll explain the chorus, but the chorus, the masks on the chorus created a lot of uniformity, so you couldn't tell who was who, and that was the point of the chorus. Now, you think chorus today involves singing, which it did have its origin in that. Like if I said I'm in chorus, traditionally it's 12 to 15 people in a tragedy. They're also in the other plays as well. Like I said, the satire is a bunch of like goat dudes dancing around. But there's 12 to 15 people, and this allows them to go, and they provide kind of in-between action. So sometimes they'll speak directly to a character. Sometimes they'll start off the play. They'll either sing it or recite the words, and they'll maybe set the background. Sometimes they'll go and they'll say like the character's thoughts or feelings inside. So they'll go and speak for the person. Sometimes they'll tell you action that's happened. It was taboo in ancient Greece to show a killing on stage. They never did that. So they would come on stage and start singing, "Oh my gosh, he just died, there was blood." Okay, you get the idea. You love my lovely voice, I know. But the idea of the chorus is going to sing or recite what exactly had happened. And they're all kind of uniform. They wear the same mask, which are kind of creepy, to be honest. They kind of creep me out. They would have been painted, had a bunch of like plants in them, animal skins, stuff along those lines. Like I said, they express their main fears, their inner thoughts, stuff like that. So they help break that wall that the characters can't exactly break according to the tradition of the day. So here's actually, the top part is some satires from a play, and then here's a modern version here on the bottom. Here's an actual existing terracotta comedy mask. Inside, the way these were made, they're very, very exaggerated. So if they're like happy, it's like a super duper smiley face. And if they're sad, it's like really, really sad. Okay? The reason for that is the people in the back have to see it. So it's very, very exaggerated, the features, which kind of makes them creepy. This would have been painted back in the day, but obviously this is thousands of years old. Paint wears off. And then here's a statue of an actor with a comedy mask. Here's what they would have looked like back in their day. This is obviously a god here on the right, and this is a woman, which would have been played, as I mentioned, by a man. Now, the theater, parts of the theater that you need to know. The theatron. The theatron is the seating itself, where the people sat, initially made out of wood, and then in most theaters it's made out of stone. It's pretty crazy, the acoustics in the theater. They understood acoustics without understanding the science behind acoustics. They would go and had perfect acoustics, amplify their voices. They would actually have resonators, and basically things that would take out certain vibrations within the theater. They would hold up, as you saw in the video in class, hold up different, basically like cauldrons, and it would take out the noises. It provided excellent sound, and they can still use those today. The orchestra is the center stage on the bottom in which the chorus performed, and the pseudoi is the side entrance. I'll show you those on the next slide. The skena is the origin of our modern word scene. It's the backdrop. The ekiklema are these things. If you translate it to from Greek to English, it literally translates to the rolly out thingy or something along those lines. So it's just the way they would have actors enter kind of semi-dramatically. And then the mechane is the crane, which they would use if they're going to have a god or goddess like magically appear, something like that. Here's the layout. So this is the theatron is the seating here. So this is the theatron. And then, like I said, the orchestra is where the chorus goes. So the orchestra is down here. And then the pseudoi are basically the side entrances over here. And then you see the skena. It usually has two different levels. And then you have the different devices as well. Here you go. Here's another shot. Like I said, it's 2 stories, and they provide the different background, which is kind of cool. And then here it is at its glory, and a play actually being performed. And you can see the chorus down there. You can see some actors. All the people are there checking it out. So it's pretty cool. Some of them are in great condition today. Some are not in great condition. The acoustics are built so well in some of these. I kid you not, because I've actually been to Greece and people have done this. You drop a penny, like a coin, in the center of the orchestra down here, and then you sit in the top row and you can actually hear it. That's how good the acoustics are. No mics, anything like that. And there's another shot of the remnants of a theater today. There's a couple, we'll talk about the Parthenon and the Acropolis, but there's a couple theaters there, usually to honor the god Dionysus. He's the god of theater and the god of wine. Now, in order to understand Antigone, we need to explain the 3 Theban plays. Thebes, or Thebes, was a place, and is a place, that these stories, these plays were set in. Now, it's a trilogy, and we're reading the 3rd part of a trilogy, so I'll use like the Star Wars analogy. It's like starting with the Return of the Jedi. I mean, you could technically just start watching Return of the Jedi, but you don't fully appreciate or fully understand if you don't hear the first 2 stories. So I'm going to give you a brief synopsis of Oedipus the King, one of the grossest stories / awesome stories ever, and Oedipus at Colonus. It is pronounced Oedipus. The O is silent. It is weird. Yes, I know that. So the 3 Theban plays are written by Sophocles, not Sophocles. It deals with the city of Thebes during and after King Oedipus. They're not a true trilogy. Here's Thebes. And there are some inconsistencies, but more or less call it a trilogy and we're good. So the story of Oedipus the King, one of the grossest / awesome stories of all time. The oracle, the Pythia of Delphi, who we talked about in the last religion video, makes a prediction to 2 parents they have a baby that's on the road. And the baby's coming, and they say the baby is going to kill the dad and marry the mom. And they go, oh my gosh, that's weird, we got to get rid of the baby. So the dad gives the mom the task of killing the baby. She can't do it, so she gives it to a servant who ties up the baby by his feet and has to go up to the side of a mountain and kill him. But the servant doesn't have the heart to do it and leaves him to die from exposure. However, the baby is picked up by a shepherd who unbinds the baby's feet. The word Oedipus means swollen feet, so that little baby, his name is Oedipus, and he grows up in the household of a king. Oedipus gets a bit older and he hears the prophecy that he's going to kill his mom or kill his dad and marry his mom. But he doesn't know he's adopted. So he thinks that his adopted parents are his true parents, so he has to go and flee these parents in order not to do this. Well, the Greek concept of fate will come into play here. He goes on his chariot, gets in a chariot accident with another guy. They get in a brawl and he kills the guy. You guessed it, that was his dad. He goes further down the road, and he runs into the mythical creature called the Sphinx. And the Sphinx is this stupid little creature. You have to answer a riddle in order to get by him, and nobody can defeat him. And the Sphinx asks the famous riddle, what creature walks on 4 legs in the morning, 2 in the afternoon, and 3 in the evening? Oedipus correctly answers man, because man, as a baby, has 4 legs, in the afternoon, like middle age, 2 legs, and then 3 with a cane. Oedipus defeats the Sphinx, and his reward is he gets to marry the queen, who is, yes, his mom, who's recently been widowed. They don't make the connection. They go, and they do marriagely things, and they have 4 different kids. Eventually, everything comes out. The mom kills herself. Oedipus is disgusted with himself, so he takes a pin off the back of his mom's dress, and he gouges his eyes out and blinds himself and runs away. So that's the story of Oedipus the King. Now, the 4 different kids that they have, Antigone, Ismene are the girls, and Eteocles and Polynices are the boys. Now you know who Antigone is. It is the daughter, the mongrel daughter of Oedipus and his mother. Oedipus at Colonus is the second play. It's the most boring of the 3. Basically, the plot line is Oedipus is kicked out of the city of Thebes because of what he did, and he goes to Colonus. He feels really bad. He goes with his 2 daughters, Ismene and Antigone, and the 2 brothers, Polynices and Eteocles. They rule the city of Thebes. That's essentially the plot of Oedipus at Colonus. It's kind of the filler between the 2. And then we pick it up with good old Antigone. And obviously Antigone is the protagonist of the story. Antigone is a girl. Now, while they were gone, Eteocles and Polynices, the 2 brothers, actually get in a civil war. It doesn't say, but basically they're on opposite sides, and they both die in the same battle on the same day. So both the brothers of Oedipus die. You can see it's kind of a cursed family after dad's incest with the mom. Now, the new king, King Creon, is Oedipus' brother-in-law. That's what Bill means there. He is the brother-in-law of Oedipus, a.k.a. the brother of the mom of Oedipus' true biological mother. He says that one of the brothers, Eteocles, is going to get a proper burial, and Polynices is going to be disgraced. Well, if you remember from the religion video, if you weren't given a proper burial, they thought you haunted the earth as a ghost. So Antigone is going to, against King Creon's orders, go and bury her brother, and openly do it in the middle of the day. And that's a source of conflict, and that is what we'll talk about in the play Antigone.